Hello to all my friends in Pakistan, Karachi. First of all, thank you very much for organizing this wonderful event, inviting me as a speaker, and apologies for not being able to fly to Pakistan, unfortunately because of COVID, the travel restrictions. But thank you for the technology. Here we are. We are going to have a wonderful 20 to 25 minute session here. Hopefully you're going to enjoy it. Today, I'm going to cover the need of cybersecurity for leaders. The importance of cybersecurity for the banks. First of all, for the ones that don't know me, my name is Erdal Ozkaya. I hold a PhD in cybersecurity, information technology, and many different certifications. I wrote multiple books, which you can just see here, and multiple cybersecurity certifications. So, if you want to be in touch with me, this is my contact details. Please feel free to stay in touch. And a surprise for today, for anyone who tweets about this session and tagging myself and the Future Banking Summit in social media is gonna win 5 ebooks. So 5 people is gonna win book of their choice, one of my books. We all know our world is changing. I mean, I used to say this for so many years. It's obvious today that the world is changing. So the most important thing that I was talking just before COVID was we're moving to cloud, we having digital transformation, changes are coming, but to be very honest, I never foreseen this big change called COVID-19. COVID-19 has not just enforced digital transformation, it changed so many stuff. The global economy, it shaped all these big airlines, all these retail shops, all this economy has shaped. There was only thing which didn't change is the spelling for change itself. We call this the new normal, but when we look at it, it changed really the way that we live, the way that we work, and the way we shop. We used to go to the shop. Today, we use, I don't know if Amazon is in Pakistan, but there is many other online retail shops where you can do shoppings, which I'm fully aware of. Unfortunately, it also changed the way that we get hacked. So when we look into global landscape, we see that nearly every organization, nearly every country had their organization who was under cyber attack. As a result, they say there is 2 types of big organizations. 1, they know they've been hacked. 2, they don't. So what are we going to do? Are we going to stop, close the business and stop? Especially banking summit. We know things are changing a lot, and I'm going to talk about it shortly. But let's look also what's happening in Pakistan. When you look in Pakistan, you will see that Pakistan is one of the most attacked countries. It is in top 20. When you look again, there is not just computer attacks, but also mobile attacks. Unfortunately, Pakistan is in top 7. Miner attacks, if you know what miner attack is, you know, the new digital currency, how we do Bitcoining, mining Bitcoins. What hackers do is they use your resources, sometimes not just to steal your data, they use your resources not just to host malware, they use your resources to mine digital currency. So, you know, they might have a digital currency farm, which is X petabyte big, lots of CPU power, but why not utilize your mobile, your digital devices, your infrastructure? And again, Pakistan is high when it comes to infection rates. Unfortunately, nearly every fourth computer in Pakistan is infected. So what does this mean to you? This is the new banking summit, and I'm delivering a keynote. So why should this matter to you? You know, you are working for a bank, or you are some sort of a financial industry. When we look in banks, of course, we know that hackers love to attack us, right? I work myself to a bank as well. I work at Standard Chartered Bank as regional CISO, responsible in multiple countries, including Pakistan. I'm currently hiring a CISO in Pakistan who's going to report to me together with the local leadership. But what I'm trying to say is I'm closely involved with Pakistan. I'm looking at the market because if I don't know what's happening next door, look, honestly, I really don't care if you love or know your next door neighbor. But maybe you don't like your next door neighbor at all. But if there is a fire, you better go help your next door neighbor because that fire might jump to your building, to your apartment, to your land. So as a result, I keep an eye on what's happening in the cyber threat landscape. We know that cybersecurity, security, forget about the cyber part, security was always important to our sector. First of all, we are under physical threat for so many years. I think you will see that beautiful, this is the first footage from 1931. A masked man poses as a bank robber during a demonstration of German device that protected cash and sounded an alarm during robbery in 1931. I'm pretty sure you watch one of these Western cowboy movies where the attackers attack the money car or the banks, or you watch that famous Netflix movie, Money Heist, how all this laundering happening. So this used to be in the past. Yes, you will still see one or two physical attacks, but honestly, they are probably done not by normal people, because normal people will know that there will be not enough cash or extreme security in the branches. So instead, what they're doing is, why should I risk myself as a hacker to buy a gun? It's hard. Yeah, I can go to dark web, but this is not the topic. Why buy a gun, hide it from the security, go to the building, try to kill someone, and maybe I'm gonna steal some money? Instead, I can invest the time and effort into a malware where I can send via email, via various ways to the bank infrastructure and try to hack them. And if you think this is just happening in the movies, unfortunately, you're wrong. Here's from the news. Based on the Economic Times, in 2018, there was data of almost all Pakistani banks hacked. Honestly, I don't know. I wasn't in banking sector back then. I was working for Microsoft, but I know that some banks had some incidents. And if you look, for example, again, it was in the news. There's many other different news that certain banks, they get hacked. This could be our bank. This could be your bank. It's not about bank A, bank B, or bank C. It's about what's happening. Is it just in Pakistan like this? No. Again, in 2018, as you can see, nearly every bank in Pakistan, as well as foreign banks like Commonwealth Bank of Australia, like Emirates MBD, had some leaks. It doesn't mean all these banks were hacked. Some of them, the customer were hacked and the data was leaked. So it's like, why I should go if I want to hurt you, harm you, and you're a big guy with security guards. Why should I aim you? I will go after a family, and I will hurt one of them, and indirectly hurt you. This is exact same thing happened here. What happened again? Instead of trying to hack a well-protected bank, they go divert the attacks to consumers and collect the data and sell it in dark web. That's exactly what's happening. Besides that, if you look into the global, unfortunately, things are same. You all heard about the news that you can read. The biggest one was in 2015. I think Kaspersky called it Carbanak, where 100 banks were unfortunately hacked and more than $1 billion physically was stolen. I can cover those details maybe in a different session. If you never heard about it, please Google or Bing about it. You will see that cybersecurity is really, really, really important. And hackers use various methods. This could be malware, this could be phishing, this could be man-in-the-middle attack, this could be drive by download, malvertising, software, DDoS attack, password attacks. So attacking, finding a way to attack is always possible. What I highly suggest each and all of you, regardless if you're in cybersecurity or not, to download Komodo cybersecurity reports or maybe the Verizon data breach report 2020. You will see that most of the attacks are still not just what you read here, but also misconfiguration attacks, which means your IT guy, your security person, your whoever, just click next, 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 next without changing the default ports, without changing the default passwords, or without implementing multi-factor authentication, without building defense in depth strategy, segmentation, or maybe zero trust. So the session is about cybersecurity for leaders. What should you do to change your environment? First of all, you have to be aware that cybersecurity is extremely important. Cyber risk is not just in Pakistan, in banking, but everywhere. One of the biggest challenges that I see, companies are still struggling to make cybersecurity a vibrant, proactive part of strategy, operation, and culture. When I look at the root cause, I see that cybersecurity is unfortunately still seen as back office job. When I started 20 years ago, there was no such a word. 20, 25 years ago, there was not such a word called cybersecurity. There was security, there was getting infected by the virus, formatting the computer, and that's it. I used to be treated like, just the format guy. But today, we know that cybersecurity is extremely important. You just saw the examples. So it's important to cyber leaders to be equipped with power, with board power. Today's CISOs, cybersecurity leaders, chief information security officers, must be able to help C-suite level. We have to rethink cybersecurity leadership. You have to set up a cybersecurity strategy. You have to position the cybersecurity function to have influence. And of course, you have to get the right leader who will help you, not the cheapest one, not the one that you know, not the one who's going to help you to get more bonus. The one who is going to proactively help you implement cybersecurity services, policies, if necessary, procedures to help you to be more secure. Keep in mind, cybersecurity is not just the CISO's role. Cybersecurity is also not the CEO's responsibility anymore. I mean, I used to say this a few years ago, actually, Microsoft used to say that, hey, cybersecurity is CEO's responsibility. But I believe things has changed. It's not anymore the CEO's responsibility, just CEO's responsibility. It's everybody's responsibility from A to Z, from the cleaner to the security guard, from your marketing manager to your clerical, to the person who makes the tea, to you name it. It's your job as CISO to convince the board to build a cybersecurity culture that everyone in the organization understands cyber risks and helps you mitigate them. So how can you build a cybersecurity strategy? A cybersecurity strategy is a plan for managing organizational security risk according to a defined risk tolerance, which meets the business organizational objectives and goals. Of course, this has to be aligned with the regulators. This has to be within the budget. This is all about confidentiality, integrity, and availability. In other words, protecting your brand. If you cannot integrate this strategy, if you cannot implement a proper strategy, then most probably you're going to be in the news. So your cybersecurity strategy should not be it's the aim of cybersecurity strategy should not be as secure as possible. Instead, you have to aim to be secure as necessary. It's like, let's say you're an amateur sports player. Does it mean you have to play better than Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo? Or is it, or you need to just be better than your opponent in the team that you play to win the game? Of course, if you are a professional player, the answer will be different, but I guess you understand what I mean. So how can you build a cybersecurity strategy, the right cybersecurity strategy to your organization? First of all, you have to know the threat actors. Why it's important to know the threat actors? Because the threat actors are the people that want to hurt you. You have to know how they, you have to have a proper threat intelligence team to give you the information how they attack, how they collect information, how they scan your network, how they escalate privileges, how they distract organizations or ransomware or you name it. Besides that, you have to also know your weaknesses. Knowing your weaknesses will help you to strengthen your defense. Besides knowing your threat actors and weaknesses, you have to also know the technology that you are using. Knowing the technology will empower you. Knowing the threat actors, together with weaknesses and technology, will help you to master your defense. Why? Because if you know your car is leaking water, it's a smart idea to have an extra water bottle. You cannot see it yet. To have an extra water bottle in your car. So if your car overheats, you can just put the water bottle and go to the mechanic and tell exactly what the problem is. So this will help you to know what your weakness is and improve your defense strategy. Same thing applies to your cybersecurity. If you know you don't have a endpoint protection and a response in EDR, then you should go and invest to the right one. Which one is the right one? I would highly recommend the open source one, which is Komodo. I know that's the second time I mentioned the product because it's open source, free. So go and use that EDR, which will help you to protect the endpoint detection and response capabilities. Of course, there are some great products paid, like Microsoft ones, like there is many other companies that you can use, but I'm a fan of Microsoft, for example, or you can pay Komodo, they have a paid version as well. So strategy without tactic is the slowest route to victory. Tactic without a strategy is the noise before defeat, says Sun Tzu. Do you know who Sun Tzu is? He wrote a book called The Art of War nearly 2,500 years ago. And there he described this. So it's important to win any cyber war. Unfortunately, we are in a war, that you have a proper strategy. Remember, first step was to build a cyber security strategy. And second step is to position the cybersecurity function to have influence. First of all, you have to know your business culture and what kind of influence that you want to give to your organization. Businesses can operate in sprawling different ecosystems where digital infrastructure and data are not currently contained. And cybersecurity needs to be tailored to specific elements. You should, the organization should, if you are not in cybersecurity and you are a cybersecurity leader who is attending this event, you should give the right cybersecurity talent the right power to help you to build a cybersecurity culture and influence the changes. An example, let's say you have supply chain management organization, like every bank has a supply chain management or third party. You should influence the CISO to implement a third party security risk assessment, a supply chain risk assessment, and you should implement some bonuses for the supply chain management. So cybersecurity should be part of every bonus, even if you're just data entry person. If any of your entered data does not leak because of your mistake, you will gain extra 10% bonus. If you complete your cybersecurity awareness training, you will get that another 10% bonus. So bonuses should not be just based on performance 100%, maybe should be based on performance 80% or 20-25% based on cybersecurity, because one little mistake from the organization can cost your brand, remember? So as a leader, you should also know what the regulators are talking, especially in banking, right? We are a heavily regulated environment. You should have a good governance and accountability expected. You should work with the regulators and implement what they suggest. I know how good State Bank of Pakistan is, how they enforce security to the banks. So they expect you to have cyber hygiene, good security culture, good governance. So why not work with them and implement it? You should also know what your third parties are, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. You should be able to anticipate, contain, and rapidly recover. So when did you test last time your backup? When did you restore from a sample backup? And how many attacks are you stopping every day? So it's important to have a risk-based approach and establish your test capabilities. You can use frameworks like NIST. The important thing here is you have to know your threats, vulnerabilities, possible incidents, and responses to those incidents. This will make you a better cybersecurity leader. You should read reports such as the Marsh report, which talks about 6 elements. Strategy. If you don't know what your top 3 cyber risk is, then you're doing something wrong. When did you talk about your, when did you consider cyber risk last time? When did you look at cybersecurity business, the SCB, is exposed? Did you ever look when you had last time a cyber update to your board? Do you know what your gaps are? You should ask all these questions to your board, and this will help you to challenge yourself, what you know, and what you need to know. To be a great cyber leader, I said, you have to invent the right talent. So who's the right talent? Of course, as a good cybersecurity leader, has to know the business's culture, has to relate to the risk. You should create your own credibility. You should not just help shape the strategy, probably help building it. Once you promise, you should deliver. You should invest in your team, because by yourself, you're nobody. You should make metrics matters. Metrics always matters. You should master your message. What is your goal? Everybody should know the goal of the leader. You should have a champion change, because this is where you can only minimize the cyber attacks when you get everybody involved. All this is not just going to help you solve business problems, but also be recognized as a leader. You don't have to be a Superman, as you can see in the logo there. A CISO is really just a normal human who knows how to communicate, how to make non-technical, how to explain deep technical stuff for the non-technical people. So, as I mentioned earlier, CISOs in any enterprise organization must have skills to be able to explain security for non-technicals, build and maintain critical relationship, and communicate not just for senior leaders, but also in operational level. The last tip probably which I'm going to give today is you also need to invest into right tools. Look, vendors are important. You need your vendors, but don't forget, the vendor should tailor into you. You should not tailor into your vendor. And more importantly, you cannot defeat the threats of present with the tools of tomorrow's. So with this, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. In this presentation, I wanted to highlight why you need to know cybersecurity, why cybersecurity is important, especially for banking, how you can help change the cybersecurity culture in your organization, and how you become a better cybersecurity professional. As I said earlier, please, 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 don't forget, we have, you can just keep in touch with me with those addresses. If you tweet or at LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, if you mention and tag myself and the Future Banking Summit in the social media post, 5 of you is gonna win a choice of my books. Again, thank you very much for joining the session. Apologies, I couldn't be in Pakistan. I was early this year there, and I'm really looking forward to shake all of your hands in the very near future in safe days. Please wear your mask, keep your distance, and try to be safe, and hope to see you soon, inshallah.